Good evening, Poke fans. Welcome to Let's Play Games West Virginia. I'm Kevin,
I'm Heather.
and this is PokéMonday. So we've had a pretty exciting week for Pokemon Go again, with more coming soon. We recently had an announcement that they're going to drop the details of PvP, something that players have been wanting for really since launch. And that feature is not going to be launched tomorrow. It's just more information about it will be launched. But
We can talk more about what that means.
Sure, but they've been drumming up a little bit of excitement on that for social media. So we've got a couple of things going on this week. For many folks, we're in the middle or towards the tail end of their first attempt to get a Meltan. We had a 3-day long community day, which is a first ever, as far as I can recall, and the launch of the announcement of the PvP. So it just like every other week thus far, for most of the latter half of this year, it's just been update after update after update.
Additionally, we have new field research and special tasks. Well, sorry, how do I say that? Field research and rewards for that. So we have new birds and old dogs.
So we talked about last week that we had confirmed that it is in fact possible for 2 Pokemon Go accounts to interact with one Let's Go game to get a Meltan box. So Heather had done hers previously, and I got to do mine this Monday. And so this was my first Meltan box. So I've seen conflicting reports, some saying that it doesn't really matter to move around a whole lot. Pokemon trainer Tips Nick has said that it's basically just every 3 minutes there's a spawn. We didn't realize it at the time, so we were moving around trying to use it very much like an incense. It does take the buff slot of an incense, so you can't run both at the same time. So don't pop an incense egg right before opening the box, because you actually won't be able to open the box.
We learned that the hard way.
Yeah, Heather learned that the hard way, and I felt bad because it was my suggestion. Just she got to it first. But so yeah, don't do that. But otherwise, it does act very much like an incense. The Meltan sprite on the screen is teeny tiny, so if you've added a star piece or some other buff that puts effects around your character, it can be really easy to lose track of Meltan in there. So if you get one every 3 minutes, and if it lasts for 30 minutes, which is the case, you should come away with a max of 10 Meltan. I topped out at 9, I think, and you ended up with 7. Is that right?
In my first box.
On your first box. So either that means that we did in fact lose some, or maybe it's not quite as strict to that 3-minute rule as is being claimed. So the other way to get a Meltan is to complete the Meltan Mythic quest, the special research assignment. And so part of what I'm doing here in the video now is working on that assignment. So you have to evolve a Grimer as part of it, and I just happen to be working on that at the same time that we were also catching the Meltans. So here's the tiny little steel-type Pokemon.
Meltani.
And one of the things about that is you really want to increase your candy catch here. So use those Pinap berries, because it takes 400 Meltan candies to get a Melmetal.
And it also takes 20 kilometers to walk that little baby. So if you have rare candies to spare, that would probably be a decent usage of it if you're willing to do that. I have seen some people on Reddit who already have received a Melmetal. And one of the funny things is they said that as he is being beaten, that he melts into a puddle. So that's kind of fun. But if you're willing to use your rare candies on that, that would probably be a good usage of it.
So this is the second Meltan that I had from that quest. We got to see the first one with the new Pokedex entry just before that. I went ahead and cropped this video down pretty seriously, so you don't have to see me wandering around for a half an hour. It's pretty much just back-to-back Meltan catches.
With the box, not with the special research.
Correct, with the box. I have not yet completed the special research. I am stuck on the Catch 5 Execute. So we had that period where lots of the Meltan quests were easy to complete, but I just didn't have the time to get through them in that period. So now I'm kind of stuck looking for harder to find Pokemon that we've gone weeks without seeing, really. To complete that quest.
But Niantic was nice, and the head honchos decided to make some of the raid bosses applicable for the Meltan research task. So things like Aerodactyl, things like Omanite, Kabuto have been in the raid as raid bosses. Not all of them will probably stay very long, but they are there for now, so that's helpful if you need to do your catching.
which will also be helpful because one of the sections of the Meltan quest is to battle in 10 raids. Now, it is possible to kind of, I'd say this is a bug, really, to manipulate a bug in your favor. As soon as you spend the raid pass, that clicks over the research task. You don't actually have to fight in it. In theory, if you had 10 premium raid passes hanging out and you just wanted to make a swath across town, dropping raid passes as you go, you could knock that out very shortly. However, that's not really in the spirit of the game, and that seems to me pretty much to be a bug and not the intent of the research task.
It is nice, though, that if you lose the raid and you do hang out and try it, that you still get counted for that. So
Sure.
That's nice.
But yeah, so the Meltan quest is definitely kind of a slug through if you didn't complete it during the special event. And if you don't have access to Let's Go Eevee or Let's Go Pikachu, but you have a friend or relative or someone else who does, you can, maybe hang out with them for a brief period of time, transfer a Pokemon to their Pokepark, and come away with one of the Meltan boxes.
Literally 5 minutes it takes to trade in Pokemon. But one thing about this, and I learned this the hard way, is that no matter how much you attempt to transfer Pokemon to Let's Go throughout the week, if you have any days left on the box, as you'll click on it and see it says 2 days left until you can open this box, you have to transfer more Pokemon on day 0. Otherwise, the box just stays inactive. So you have to continually transfer Pokemon to Let's Go each time that you get through the 7 days on day 0. Otherwise, it's just taking up space.
And you are limited to 1,000 Pokemon trades to Let's Go. So if it's not your game, you definitely may want to discuss with the person to see what it is they're looking to do, and try and help them out a little bit and not overburden them. So if you get it only from trading one, maybe you only trade one.
So is this you or me?
This looks like you.
Aha. Yes, so this is me currently working through, and I somehow found and stumbled upon a shiny Omanite. So that's not one that I knew that I wanted or one that I thought that I wanted. I just kind of happened upon it. And that has been my first shiny that I found since well before many community days. I think it was a shiny Swablu. But as you'll see, I did just level up to level 39. So that's pretty exciting. Not great on the rewards, and now there's a 5 million experience points to get to level 40, but it is nice to have that little badge of you've worked really hard.
Hey Ladarius, welcome to the stream. Thanks for hopping into the chat. We appreciate it.
We're just talking about my progress in finishing the Meltan special research.
Which is definitely something that's been happening the last 2 weeks, also with coming up for the 3-day community event. So that shiny Omanite was not part of the community day event for you. That was just a shiny you caught in the wild, right?
Right. So this was as all of the Let's Go field research tasks were out and about. I had just been scanning Omanites because I knew I needed them. And also it would be beneficial to transfer those to Let's Go when I just happened to click on one. And to be honest, I had kind of forgotten that Omanite had a shiny version that had been released. So that was a nice surprise.
Yeah. So one of the evolutions for that thing is to evolve a Scyther, right? So you have to have a Scyther, you have to have enough candies to make that happen, and you have to have a metal coat.
So part of this stipulation is that the professor wants to experiment and see whether there's anything to do with Pokemon that have tools. As you'll see as part of the tasks, you'll want to evolve Scyther, you evolve a Cubone, I believe, and a couple other catches that are helpful. So you'll evolve a Drowsy as well. But those things are to sort of do your research as an assistant for Professor Oak and Willow.
So definitely save those candies if you're not ready for those evolutions yet. It's kind of a real bummer to spend a chunk of candies only to find out that it was part of a special research just a few days away, which definitely has happened to me, and I think has happened to most folks at least once. So keep those in mind. I'm having trouble. I evolved several Scythers like a month ago, so I was really low on candies. So I've been having to save those candies.
I had been saving up a field research that I knew showed a Scyther. I was doing that with the Aerodactyl as well because I didn't know if there were any Aerodactyls out in the wild. Because I had not seen any, I went ahead and saved up a couple of them. But once I realized that completed field research had turned into an Aerodactyl, I quickly ran away from that to save it. However, then several of them disappeared until I started to cash those in which case I got several right in a row, probably 7 or 8 field research tests that I completed.
But that Let's Go event is mostly ended, so
it's totally ended.
Haven't had the opportunity to do that. That opportunity has passed you by.
And you should probably find some raid battles in your area if you need things like Kabuto, Omanite, Aerodactyl. So here we are. What's next?
Looks like you're still working on your evolutions for Let's Go Meltan.
Catch a Cubone. So this didn't take me long at all because it was still on the last day of the event. I worked really hard on the last day of the event to complete this because I knew it was going to be a struggle if I didn't do it right away. One thing that I found a little bit problematic, and you can let us know in the comments if you had this similar struggle as well, they asked you to do 10 raids, and then they didn't provide any raid passes. They didn't help at all in any sort of way. And then later, you'll see that I just picked up 3 raid passes. Those would have been much more helpful if they had been given to you in a previous completion. I think that probably dissuades some players who are playing for free. And so I think it would be a little bit on more even ground if they were willing to do that beforehand.
It looked like there was a reward of 3 raid passes afterwards, but still, if you're just saving that up, that means you're minimum 10 days to complete that if you're not spending coins. Mm-hmm. You can, of course, acquire those coins through holding gym time or by using whatever your national currency is.
But that's still going to take you a week or two to save up coins to get all the raid passes.
Yeah, definitely is an investment of time or money, no matter how you do it.
Mm-hmm. I was having a lot of glitches with my app.
Yeah, I had several glitches the past 2 weeks. There's a couple times where I just had to totally restart the app and get back to it.
I'm not quite sure why they did this. And I know there's some explanations in the Meltan exposition that you get with Professor Oak and Willow. But I'm not quite sure why they had so many catch things like Lileep and Anorith. Yes, they're old, but those catch Gulpins, catch Slugmas. I understand that they all have different types and different functions in the Pokemon Go world, but I think it would have been cooler to have all Pokemon that were featured in the Gen 1 stuff, or have stuff that was specifically for the Let's Go game. Again, it's not really a big deal. I mean, it's fine. I just was tired of seeing Slugma around when I'm trying to catch all of the Gen 1 stuff. So here we are with the Meltan.
That's the completion of the Meltan special research.
That is the completion of the special research. That is not the Meltan box. By this point in time, I have already completed 1 Meltan box, and I have 1 more day until I think my 2nd Meltan box. So by this point in time, I am working well on the candies. As you can see, that's 67 candies, so that's about enough to have 1 box with several pin-apps in. I think now I used a couple rare candies, so I think I'm up to about 140 on the candies after my 2nd box and completion of the special research.
I think about 67 is where I landed after one complete box with pin-apps. So there you go, your pile of XP for completing page 9 of 9.
And your candy.
$9,000 Stardust isn't too bad.
Yeah, that's a good bit. That's several regular trades.
Yeah, I recently plunked down another big pile of Stardust. So at the end, 2 weeks ago, I had almost 400,000 Stardust, and now I'm down to about 70,000. And of course, I've accrued some in that period as well. So
wow.
I spent a pile of Stardust to power up my X-Raid and all the Dark Pokemon team. And then I also spent a bunch of Stardust on a special new edition which will occur in a little bit here in our stream.
I also used some of my Stardust, not that much, but I did power up my my new Weevil, so that's Sneasel's evolution. It's Weevil, right?
That sounds great.
Weevil, something like that. It's not in my head right now. But that is a very good dark type Pokemon if you are looking for another dark type to add to your raiding parties for Cresselia raids. I would suggest that. It is a pretty strong Pokemon, and the attacks are both dark. So if you need another one, consider using that with your Sinnoh Stone, though those are not guaranteed anymore in your 7-day research.
Which is definitely a bummer if people didn't get on that or weren't completing them every day. So
that's true.
I ended up with 2 Sinnoh Stones, but
Same.
That's kind of the max that was kind of guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. So I got another X-Raid invite, which I then promptly invited my husband here to the X-Raid. So with that, we have been to several X-Raids by this point in time. I think 5.
Oh, more than that.
5 Deoxys, though. Now I'm curious. Let me count the Deoxys. But I kind of was ambivalent on whether or not to go to this one because we do have several, and I know that that's not a luxury that everyone gets. I recognize that, so I'm not trying to make light of it. It's just I was kind of confused by this one because I had not been doing any raiding at the X-Raid Eligible Gym. So that was a little bit surprising to me to receive a raid pass there. That being said, I have 5 Deoxys, but I know there were 1 or 2 that I didn't catch. However, the one that I caught in this raid, I think ended up being about 89 to 91%, depending on which app checker you are using. Oh, wait, is that true? No. Sorry, I had mine backwards. It was a 95 that I caught this past time. So this is something on the as an aside. With the latest Pokemon Go update, you can now change the way that you view your Pokemon and the way you view your friends list. Additionally, old Pokemon will now have a little banner when you're taking a look at them that will say 2016 on them. So if you are getting ready to chip that one up and you're in the Go screen, you can be sure not to do that. But those are some of the additions. So as you can see, I tried to sort it by date so that I could see what I got this last time, but it was backwards. So either way.
So I have had generally less luck at the level 5 and X-Raid gyms than Heather has, although that seems to have turned around with the Cresselia raids from the last week. And I caught 100% of the Cresselia raids from last week, which was pretty exciting for me because normally I'm solid 40%.
I think we had footage of that from last week, didn't we?
We did. And also appears that has changed maybe a little bit for Deoxys here. Ash, welcome to the chat. Thanks for hopping in. Welcome to the stream. This is Let's Play Games West Virginia, where we look over the last week of Pokemon Go. And also Let's Go. If you haven't seen that, we did a 6-hour stream on the day that Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu dropped, and that's archived over on the YouTube. If you search for LPGWV Kevin, that will certainly come up.
So we are just here finishing up our, I think, 6th or 7th X-Raid. So it looks like you got the catch on that one.
Yeah, I did. So I was actually kind of in line to catch this one based on our previous catch rates of about 40% because I'd missed, I think, the last 2. So it was good to be able to snag that one.
One thing that I do wish is that Deoxys is, how do I say this, not terribly powerful or relevant for battling in any sort of way currently. I know that that could be a different case for our new PvP function, but currently not really a helpful thing for an X-Raid.
A 93% Ivy Cresselia is pretty decent. I haven't
Nice.
seen, I don't have one that's higher than 89, and I think most of them are actually in the 70s for me.
Yeah, I don't recall what mine are. I think I got 6 of them, 5 or 6. I can sit here and check. Hold on.
We actually traded one away because for the first time ever, I actually had enough of them to merit that.
That's really a first for you. Oh, no, I didn't get that many. I got 3, but one of them was also a 95. So yours is a very good catch, your Cresselia.
Yeah, definitely higher than many others I've seen.
Yeah. I think the other 2 are in the 70s and 80s, so still quite good for a raid boss, but, not spectacular.
The raid bosses in the 70s kind of bum me out. Like, you really want them to be higher than 80% for something that's, a bit more difficult to do.
Sure.
So here I had an egg running that for the double XP, so I was just going through some evolutions to kind of eke a little bit of experience out of that after that raid. So that raid went by super quickly, and I ended up with some time, so just using some evolution fodder for some XP.
Mm-hmm. Now, the one thing to be careful about that is, as we have come to experience, with these special researches, oftentimes they say evolve this Pokemon. So if you are using all of those candies as evolution fodder, just know that probably has a risk later on in the game.
It could.
It could very well. I mean, I've done that with Magikarp a handful of times. I've done that with, what else? I feel like there was another one that had several candies. Anyway, it is kind of a pain in the butt when you do that, but still, it's nice to get the extra XP. So I am definitely ready for those Sinnoh Stone eligible Pokemon to be out of the eggs. I'm kind of tired of hatching Rhyhorns and Sneasels. So those I have generally had enough candy for everything that uses a Sinnoh Stone except for Porygon. And in that case, I'm okay to walk it as my buddy or use rare candies. So that's really the only one that I'm waiting for. However, again, as we talked about before, the Sinnoh Stones are no longer guaranteed, but they haven't really announced how we're supposed to get them or how those are going to come back into the game. So for now, we're just sort of on a hiatus with possibly 2 Sinnoh Stone Pokemon, possibly 1.
And there's been a lot of complaints since that's a novel invention for Pokemon Go, not something that has a precedent in previous games. It really just feels like a way for Niantic to pump the brakes on people's progress for completing the Pokedex, and that feels a bit like a bummer. Like there's no good reason really to be a gatekeeper for that. Like, of course, people are going to work through that as fast as they can, but
you got a pumpkin spice Chikorita?
Yeah. At the beginning of the event, I caught a shiny Chikorita.
That was the community day event?
Yeah, it was the very beginning of the community day event. So I actually had not.
Really, Kevin?
You don't know me. So I actually had not caught a weasel yet before this. So I saw there was a weasel raid nearby.
And you threw a Pidgey at it.
It was the whole Pidgey patrol, yeah.
Oh, okay. Those of you who are new tuning in, Kevin here has a weird thing about Pidgeys. He is trying to find a Pidgey patrol, all 6 attack party, that are 100% IV Pidgeys. And it sort of started out as a joke, but he's really the one that's taking it really serious now. So it's gone too far and he can't quit now.
I've got 6 Pidgeys. All of them are 82% IVs or higher, and one of them is a lucky Pokemon because I've been asking people to trade me their Pidgeys in hopes of rolling some high IVs. So.
And he will tell you about it any chance he gets.
Yep. So hashtag Pidgey Patrol if you want to throw out some Pidgeys at some level 1 raids, or if you check the very first video where the Pidgey Patrol appeared, Pidgey went up against Moltres, basically hit the ground and died. But that was the beginning of the Pidgey Patrol.
That's true.
So it looks like we're pretty well and truly into the Community Day event, and here is a shiny Mareep. So I only ended up with 3 shinies throughout the 3-day event, which compared to any other community I've participated in was pretty low numbers.
Ash, you cannot do... well, let me phrase this. The question is, can you long-distance trade? If by long-distance trade you mean in the same vicinity, trade a Pokemon from Scotland to wherever you are, yeah, sure. But you cannot trade if you are in Scotland and we are here. You can't do that kind of a trade. But shinies, which is what he would be trading, are a little bit more expensive. So I would be sure to make a concerted effort to be really great friends with somebody until you, or before you decide to trade specials.
Because it'll bring that price down to
from like 800,000 to 80,000.
Yeah, which is significant.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and I had enough candies to power that shiny Mareep through all 3 of its evolutions, and to get the weird looking Amphoros shiny there. So here,
what were the 3 shinies you got?
I ended up with that Pumpkin Spice Chikorita, that Mareep, and a surprise one that will appear later in the video.
Did you do another Weasel raid?
I did 2 Weasel raids.
Right in a row.
Yeah.
With a Pidgey.
Maybe.
And somebody else uses a Zapdos.
Yeah,
Huh. Wonder who carried that one.
Well, this Pidgey, you see he lasts through the entire battle, so he's clearly carrying his own weight.
Oh, is he? Huh.
So yeah, there we go.
Yeah, very, very successful, I see.
I've actually seen 2 Buizels in the wild since then. I hadn't seen any prior to that. But yeah, so I'm working my way. I don't have enough candies for its evolution yet, but I'm working on that.
After the initial release, they did put them in the wild, but only very rare occurrences. So now it's pretty much more common to see a Buizel out in the wild. It's still uncommon, don't get me wrong, but it would be not unusual to see it.
Yep, definitely a tough Pidgey.
Hard Pidgey. Working hard for the money. So with the Community Day event, you caught 3. I caught 5 total. However, this Community Day weekend was very different for me. Usually on Community Days, I am able to spend the entire time playing and really able to take full advantage of those times. However, due to some work circumstances, I was unable to participate in most of the weekend. So I played a little bit on Friday evening with Kevin and caught 3 on Friday night. So that was surprising. And then on Sunday, I also caught 2 more. Now, the ones that I caught were a Pumpkin Spice Chikorita, a Mareep. What else did I catch? Oh no, now I'm losing it. A shiny Pikachu, a shiny Beldum, and one other.
I hate to interrupt you. So I didn't actually catch this one. It was a trade. But I finally got my shiny Charmander. So the person I traded with had actually caught 2 of them pretty much back to back, in like a not in the town but out a little bit. And so I was finally able to get that very excellent looking shiny Charizard that we're going to see here in a second. So other than the shiny Gyarados, the shiny Charizard are the top 2 that I really, really wanted for the other ones. Everything else after this is just kind of cake.
Not to cut you off, but the other one I caught was Dratini. And Dratini looks super cute, and Dragonite is pretty much a badass, excuse my French. So if you evolve them during the weekend, you got the special move. For Charizard, it is Blast Burn, like for Typhlosion. For things like Pichu, if you evolve Pichu into Pikachu, you got the special water move Surf. However, that was not possible to get it through your Pikachu in evolving it to a Raichu. It is solely a Pikachu move. So you had to evolve a Pichu. Whether or not you caught it this weekend is irrelevant, but that's how you got the special move set. So all of them, special moves like Frenzy Plant for Chikorita and Bulbasaur, Blast Burn, Surf, and others were part of the weekend.
So I made a mistake here. I was so excited about that guy that I started powering him up right away, and I blew through a bunch of Charmander candies to power up that one Charizard. Now what I should have done is evolved as many Charizard as possible during that period to get Blast Burn, and then power them up with candies got later. But I made the mistake, and I blew through almost all of them. I dropped some rare candies in, and then Pineapped every Charmander I saw after that. And I was able to come away with, I think, 2 or 3 Charizards with Blast Burn. Also, as an experiment, I used a Charge TM to see if I could pick up Blast Burn that way, and that was not possible. No. So I actually went through several of those to just cycle through and see if it would come up, and it does not. So.
You should have just gotten on Reddit and found that out the easy way.
Well, sometimes we have to learn things the hard way.
Yeah, so don't use your TMs for Community Day moves. Those do not work. It has to be evolved in the event window or when they specify that. So recently it's been the hour after the event up to that. Other times it's just been solely during the event. But one thing that we saw particularly this Community Day weekend is that the catching was much harder than usual on Community Day. So they did replace all of or most of the spawns, but they did not enhance the catch rates. So that was something different for the weekend because it was such a long period of time.
So Ash wanted to know what level we're playing at. So I'm level 35.
And I just leveled up this week to level 39.
So if you've been playing for a while, about half of the game's play time is between level 37 and level 40. It's kind of an exponential growth every time you level up, how much experience you need. So I have just shy of 7 million XP, and she needs about that XP to get to her next level.
I need 5 million to get to level 40. Currently, because I'm already in the app, I'll just tell you, I have somewhere in the ballpark of slightly over 15 million experience points. So it takes a whole lot. Use those lucky eggs, do what you need to, go to all the raids to level up if that's what you need to do.
So I'm slightly over halfway between 35 and 36, and that is a total of 6.97 million XP. So basically you have to, for her to go up from 39 to 40 is like playing the game from 1 to 34 all over again.
But keep trucking, Ash. You'll get there. Again, use all the lucky eggs and be smart about them, you know.
Yeah, level 33, level 34 is where that grind really sets in. You can make it to, level 28 pretty quickly, especially like around level 25. You don't have to play a whole very long or really much time per week to chuck through those levels, especially the first 20. And then right around 33, 34 is where it really starts to slow down. And then that deep grind of half of the game is 37 through 40. So yeah, that was the Charizard that I was testing the TMs on to see if I could change the charge move. That was not successful.
Nope, because it's not going to work.
But I did end up with that shiny Charizard, which was like the one thing I really wanted throughout the weekend, and I got that. Even though I didn't catch one, I got one via trade.
One of the shiny Pokemon that I was hoping to get was shiny Bulbasaur. Because at the time that Bulbasaur was a Community Day, I was not participating in those. So I was really hoping to catch one of those on my own, but unfortunately I never did. So if there's a Pokemon that you are hoping for a shiny for, be sure to find somebody through either Discord or Facebook or whatnot who's willing to trade with you, because there are those individuals. But tell us what shiny you were hoping to find over the weekend. I was hoping to find Bulbasaur because it's got a cool yellow bulb, but that's just me.
Yep. So Spidey chimed in that he just hit 34 recently. So
nice.
Congrats on 34.
Good job, Spidey.
But yeah, I would have liked to pick up a Venusaur, a shiny Venusaur eventually. That would have been kind of the third one I wanted, and also a Dragonite. So I was clicking on the Dratinis and just about everything I could to shiny check everything. But the one thing I really wanted was that shiny Charmander.
I've been eyeing that shiny Dragonite for a long time. The green and the cool looking wings. I just have not been able to make that happen. So it's probably pretty hard to convince somebody to trade a Dragonite unless you have a really alluring Pokemon that they really want. So
Ash picked up a shiny Beldum.
Oh, nice.
Were you able to participate in the Beldum Community Day, or was that a new shiny for you? I didn't see any of the shiny Beldum this weekend, but I had some left over from Community Day.
I did see one, so that was a surprise. I merely clicked on it just out of happenstance.
Spidey was lucky
Whoa.
and hatched a shiny Dratini and evolved it. That's
Well
pretty
done.
fantastic. I have never hatched a shiny ever.
I haven't either.
I see other people doing that, and I'm not sure like if I'm just like not dancing in the circle the right way or like slaughtering the wrong goat. But whatever evil gods you have to get shiny hatches, I'm just not in their favor.
Yeah, you're gonna need to go down to Georgia.
So yeah, yep, never hatched a shiny. Oh, you wanted a Beldum and got a Pikachu.
Ah.
Cool. The shiny Pikachu is a little lackluster. It pretty much looks the same to me, just kind of with the saturation like turned down a little bit.
Yeah. Or up. It's very saturated. It almost looks like macaroni and cheese
like
rather than yellow.
Turned up, but
yeah.
It's a strange looking one. There are a couple of them that I just think are kind of uninteresting looking, and Pikachu is kind of one of those. I got one of those through a trade as well. Yeah, the shinies were hard to get. So typically on those community days, I think the fewest I've ever come away with was 5 shinies, and I think I've had almost 10.
But unfortunately, if you have other obligations that keep you from community day, you totally miss out on that and all of the odds for shinies. So that's really a bummer for those players who are also working and have other commitments that they aren't able to do that.
Yeah, definitely the case. Definitely a little bit more orange than yellow.
Yeah.
So in some ways, I really like they expanded the community day because it does give you a broader time to participate. On the other hand, for me, I felt less of an impetus to make it like the actual events of our local community day because, I'll just pick it up a little bit later. And then before you know it, the community day is over. And I think all told, I probably only played for about 2 hours in that period.
Really?
Across those 3 days when... of course, we would have played for more than that on the actual community day event. We were usually there
probably
for
4 or 5 hours.
All 3 hours. But, yep. Ooh, sprained an ankle for a Pikachu.
Oh, no.
Well,
for a Pikachu or just...
Hopefully you made it to a Poke Center and Nurse Joy can patch you up and send you back out again.
She's such a nice lady. And Chansey.
So, what else do we have coming up soon? So, we don't have any other events announced except for the PvP drop tomorrow. Right.
So not the actual PvP itself, but the announcement for how the logistics of PvP is going to work. So player versus player battles, that announcement information will come out tomorrow. So that's exciting that we're going to get that. We did have our recent announcement that the legendary birds and the dogs are our field research tasks for December. Also, we have the dropping of new December field research tasks. So take a look at Reddit if you want to find an infographic for those rewards.
Thanks for the host, Spidey. If you missed it, there was a notification on that side of the screen in the corner, popped on the screen, and you will appear in the credits at the end of the show. So thanks for that.
Thanks. So one of the things that I am kind of excited about for the PvP announcement is figuring out how this is going to work. So far, the only information that we have are the 3 different levels, one being the Great League, which is a limit of 1500 CP. So that's anything underneath 1500. The next level that we have is the Ultra League, and that is a limit of 2500. So that's anything up to 2500. And then the Master League is anything goes. I'm curious to see how that's going to work and if you have to be friends with people before you battle or whether you can just happen upon a trainer in the wild like the original games and battle them. So that's exciting. I'm kind of waiting with bated breath for that tomorrow.
I kind of don't care at all about the mechanics of it. I'm totally looking forward, however, to like LARPing the hell out of Pokemon and like producing a costume and running around my local parks and like basically harassing other people who are clearly playing the game.
Good night, Spidey.
Yep, Spidey has to head out, so thanks for joining us. And his podcast is on this evening.
So the thing I think I might be also interested in regard to PvP battles is what the reward system is going to look like. So I'm curious. I kind of think there might be some Sinnoh relationship, but I don't want to say that outright, but I just did, so here we are. But I do think Sinnoh might play into this because up until now, those have just disappeared. Otherwise, it's going to be rare candies or incubators or raid passes. I mean, maybe a TM of some kind, but that's it.
I think it would also be interesting to have a Stardust exchange. So if you've played any of the previous games or Let's Go, you win Poke Coins, whatever the currency is. So
money.
I'm almost positive that Niantic will not allow the in-game coin currency to go back and forth because that looks a lot like gambling.
Yeah,
and
probably.
I'm 100% positive that will not be the case. However, it does seem like there should be some penalty to losing and some reward for winning in addition to XP on both sides. So it seemed like Stardust is one of those things where there's actually no way to really purchase it other than using star pieces to increase the amount that you get. So there's no way that that can be tied to any money you're spending in game. It is the most valuable thing in the game as far as resource management goes. And it wouldn't have to be a whole lot. It could be, a couple of hundred or 1,000, or it could be based on the CP of the Pokemon. So if I were the game designer there, I think I would probably have a Stardust exchange, or maybe they'll introduce an entirely new stat. Maybe there'll be some new in-game currency-like thing to trade.
I don't know. We shall see tomorrow, maybe. I don't know.
I suspect that we'll probably just get broad strokes tomorrow. I don't think they're going to be like, bam, here's the entire system.
Well, we've got some broad strokes currently, so I'm hoping that they'll give us at least the bones of the structure.
Well, I think that's all that we have for this week. Thanks for tuning in to PokéMondays. This is Let's Play Games West Virginia. I'm Kevin. This is Heather. We have something on Let's Play Games West Virginia every day of the week, so please go ahead and give us a follow.
You can check the banner down below.
And the banner down below gives us our rough schedule. Sometimes that changes a little bit, plus or minus a half hour, but we're usually pretty good about sticking to that. But we are here every Monday at 8 p.m. to look at the last week of Pokemon Go and Pokemon Let's Go. And we have, I think, a Poke surprise if we can get to 100 subscribers.
A surprise poke?
Yeah. No. If we can get to 100 followers, not subscribers, 100 followers by the end of the year, we will do a special Pokemon series event. So feel free to help contribute to that and tune in. And thanks for tuning in to PokéMondays. This is Let's Play Games West Virginia. I'm Kevin.
Heather.
And we will see you soon.
We'll see you next Monday.